Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Honor Radio 16. And I am super excited about this guest that we have today. We have Dr. John Jackson, the president of William Jessup University. Now, Doctor, is it okay? How should I call you? Dr. John, how do you want me to do that?
Hey, what I always tell people, Coach, is that if you call me doctor one time in public, if it'll get us something great. Other than that, call me John. I'm just John.
Thanks, buddy. I really appreciate that. You know, guys, over the past few weeks, we have been calling on special friends of ours. We've had, Ron Nichetti from the CIF, Joe Davidson from the SACB, Eric Sonheimer from the Los Angeles Times on the show. And I thought that have been dear friends of ours over the years. And one great person and university that's been not only a sponsor to our cause at the Honor Group and the Honor Bowl Showcase, but a dear friend of ours to where we've actually partnered with the university on a veteran endowment fund that we'll talk about with John in the upcoming minutes here. But I'm inviting special friends in so you could hear from them about what they think about this coronavirus and what we're all going through as we're navigating this. And I thought it would be really special to have John on this podcast. And sir, I'm honored, my friend, to have you on this podcast. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. You may or may not remember, Coach, that part of my story is that my father, who's now deceased, I think he's in heaven, and rejoice in that. But my father, in the Second World War, left high school to get into the military service. He served in the Merchant Marines. My grandmother signed the paper. He wasn't actually 18, but she signed the paper to get him in there. And then he served in the Army throughout the Korean conflict. And so I grew up very pro-military. I did not serve in the military, and I'm not ashamed of that, but I will say that from day one of my birth, I have always committed to honor men and women who serve in the military. And what you've done with the Honor Bowl, what our men and women in armed forces have done, is such a testimony to me. I love the veterans at Jessup. I love the veterans who serve across our great country, and just so proud to be associated with anything that you're doing, because it's always the very best and for the best causes. And Jessup is, you probably know this, we're a yellow ribbon school, so we cooperate and provide schooling for veterans with their GI Bills and coordinate that. And we just, anything we can do to serve and to help. And I kind of feel like in some ways this coronavirus has been a little bit of a mini war, and we have that opportunity right now. So I'm grateful to be here as well.
Thank you. Get up! Well, you got to get some out of that one, Doctor. All right. Well, John, how is your school? I mean, you've got an amazing university over here out in Northern California, Rockland, California. 1,000, almost 1,800 students that attend your private university. It's one of the most respected Christian universities, not only in California, but in America. Tell me how you're going about navigating this virus and what it's meant to your school.
Well, thank you for asking, Coach. And I would just say that, I've been the president for 9 years. I never in my life imagined I'd be a college president, and I definitely never imagined I'd be a college president at a time like this. We do have almost 1,800 students. So we have a campus in Rockland, which is about 18 miles east of Sacramento. Then we have a campus in San Jose. We have graduate students, undergrad, and it's really been remarkable. We had to change in about literally a week from face-to-face instruction. We had some online courses already, but in less than a week, we maneuvered all around and changed everything to remote learning. Most of our staff and faculty are teaching and doing their work remotely like the rest of the planet. And so that's been a real challenge, but I had the privilege many years ago to live in Port Hueneme, California. Near there was a naval CB base. And those folks were can do. I'd ask them to. I was a pastor of a church. I'd ask them to build something. They'd go, yeah. I couldn't give them any beer, but I could just give them Coke and pizza. So we'd give them Coke and pizza, and they'd build stuff at the church. And they're used to building bridges and stuff. So building what we needed was no big deal. So I kind of feel like we're in that moment now. And so thankfully, and I say this truthfully, thankfully, thanks be to God, we're in good shape, Coach. Our students are being well served. I think we're doing really well. We don't know what's going to happen long term like everybody else, but we're in good spirits. And I'm just committed that part of what leaders do is they traffic in hope. That does not mean being Pollyannish, head in the clouds, no clue of reality. But it does mean that you kind of fix your perspective on the horizon and you see where there is hope. Yeah. And you don't give up.
Oh, wow. Are there still kids in the dorms? Because I know that you've got kind of a large, elaborate setup when it comes to that.
Yeah, up until the coronavirus struck, we had about 600 kids living on campus. Of our 1,800, about 1,000 are what I'm going to call traditional undergraduate, 18 to 25-year-olds. And so we have about 150 to 200 of those left on campus. And people have asked, gosh, why do you still have them there? Why not just clear them out and sadly clear them out and reduce the liability? Yeah. But our sense has been this: Jessup dorms are the safest, healthiest, and most educationally consistent environment for a lot of those students. If they go home, they may not have a home. They may not have access to technology. And so we've been working with Placer County Health. They've, by the way, been amazing here in Rockland. We don't have dorms in San Jose, but here in Rockland, Placer County Health working with us every day. And they know what we're doing. We're taking great precautions. Food is available for them every day. We're practicing social distancing and trying to be clear. But I personally believe that we're providing a real safe and secure environment for them. And thankfully, Coach, I can tell you, as of today, in San Jose and in Rockland, not one single case of COVID-19 coronavirus for our 1,800 students or any of our 700 or 800 full and part-time employees.
Amazing. Thank you. That's an answer to prayer, my friend. An answer to prayer.
Thank you.
What's going on with the athletics? Can you give us? I know that's your AD takes over that role, but do you know anything about what's happening with athletics?
I do. I'm a big-time sports guy, and one of the things I didn't get to think about when I became college president is I'd actually get to go to sports and consider it part of my job. Who knew? That was amazing. So here's what happened. Essentially, Coach, all spring sports across the U.S. for collegiate, NCAA and NAIA. We're NAIA Division I, so we're the top level of NAIA. They were canceled. Now, thankfully, again, we had no cases actively of coronavirus at all. And we've been able to ensure that all those students are going to get an extra year of eligibility. So the sad thing, and you know this, there's many sad stories, but the sad thing is many of these athletes were in their senior years. And even though they have a year of eligibility, the question is, do they want to come back at school? So we're going to work with them. We have every hope and every prayer that we can resume everything by August and have fall sports. Again, no guarantees. But we hope that we can resume in the fall. All spring sports, though, have been canceled.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, and I know we're still wondering about what's going to happen fall of 2020, right? And, I know there's a big thing or a big announcement that's happening on Friday from the high school sports commissioners that are going to be all getting together in a Zoom type environment and discussing what's going to happen with the spring and probably what's going to happen during the summer. So it's a tough time for sports. It's a tough time for schools. It's a tough time for students. It's a tough time for everybody right now. One of the things that I have been really trying to do in my daily occupation as a national sales coach when it comes to real estate, and then what I do with the podcast and with the nonprofit and all the many veterans and student athletes that we talk to, I want to express to them the spirit of calm, right? And the fact that we're going to be okay. Is there any message that you've been giving your students, your faculty, the athletes that attend your school regarding that? What are you telling them regarding, our faith?
Well, Coach, if you wouldn't mind, I'm going to just say 3 or 4 things. And the first one will sound like I'm preaching. I'm not. I promise you I'm not preaching. But one of the first statements I made to people was, we partner with the Father, not with fear. And the word Father is capitalized. Like, I don't put my trust in everyday stuff I can see. You can take my car away. You can take my house away. God forbid I could actually have death in my family, like I know many people have experienced, and I've had some of that. But my faith is not in, the stuff of my life. And Coach, early on, I shared 4 words with people. I'm going to share them quickly here. The word reveal, the second word reset, the third word reentry, and the fourth word was I'll call revival or reformation. Let me give you a quick little unpacking of those. Number 1, reveal. Part of what's going on when you're in a shaking time is when you get squeezed, what's inside of you gets revealed. And American society and governments and economies and us as people and organizations, it's getting revealed what's inside of us. And some of it's awesome, by the way. I hope you're leaning into these human interest stories and people showing compassion and
Amen,
kindness.
brother.
And
Amen.
oh my goodness.
Amazing stuff. I do too.
I trust in the American character. I trust in people in a lot of places around the world. You're seeing just amazing things. So it gets revealed. Number 2, reset. I guarantee you this, for all your listeners, you're spending more time at home than you did a long time ago. And you might be going stir crazy right now. And you might want to be getting out more. And I understand that, but you're probably spending more time with family. And I think there's some things being reset here. And so I just want to encourage folks. Part of what's being reset, I was thinking about 9/11, Coach. 9/11, a few weeks after 9/11, a lot of people went back to normal. And some of us, normal was never the same because of what happened in our families. And let's just use airline travel. People still use the airlines and travel, maybe more than ever before, but it's never been the same as it was pre 9/11. So when you get to reset, there's also a re-entry. When you go back into re-entry, are you just going to go back to like it was in 2019? Mm-hmm. Or 2020 have changed some things for you? Last one is revival or reformation. I hope we see a change in our culture. So let me just give you just one other idea. How do you stay calm? You got to have clear priorities. And if you didn't have clear priorities before, now's a really good time to get them. Now's a really good time to say, look, let's say everything goes back to normal on May 1st or June 1st. What do I want to do? I'll give you one. I think American economy is being reset. I personally believe we're going to see this horrifyingly challenging April. It looks like April, May. I can't predict. But I personally believe we're going to see an amazing recovery. I think creativity and innovation is going to explode across America and the globe. People, some of you are in your house right now and you're thinking about stuff and inventing stuff. And I just want to encourage you. I think there's going to be greater opportunity for manufacture, for creativity, for industrial development than maybe has existed since the Second World War. And
Free five! Get up! Free five! Get up!
You got to get some.
Good.
You're on a roll. Keep going.
Okay, well, let me say one more thing, and maybe they'll hang me later for saying these things, but I'm a little bit of a history buff. When Patrick Henry said, "Give me liberty or give me death," we maybe read that in our history books and went, "Oh, that's nice." But if I could just say this to your audience, Coach, and we haven't talked about this, I'm thankful for government. I really am. I'm absolutely thankful for government, for the military. My own bias is the government that's closest to you, like your county, they have specific responsibilities, then your state, then the federal government. Federal government has ultimate accountability for national defense, and I think we are in wartime. But I do want to say this to you, and it's a hard word. The government is not responsible to take care of you. You are responsible to take care of you. Now, I understand sometimes people, can't take care of themselves. And when that happens, it's people like me. It's people like you, Coach. It's people like your audience who say, look, I will take care of anybody who can't take care of themselves. We'll give love and compassion. But I worry a little bit that some parts of the American population go, cool, we've got time off. We're just going to hang out, and the government's going to give me a check. Now, by the way, I'm for the government distributing aid. And again, don't hear that I'm not for that.
Mm-hmm.
What I worry about is some people would trade their liberty for the presumption of security that comes from government care. That is a bad plan. That is not what America is all about. And that's why I'm believing for creativity, innovation, and freedom to reign. That's what we need in this country.
Wow. I mean, I got to tell you, buddy, there's things that you dropped in that were huge just in those last 5 minutes. One of the ones that I really loved was the reset, right? I'm seeing it with my own family, my friend. I'm seeing it with the way I've seen my kids come together, the way I've seen more people walking around my neighborhood than I've never seen before. I mean, the people across the street, I didn't even know they had kids. Forgive me, I didn't even know it, right? And then next thing you know, I'm going, who are those people out in that front yard, right? It's definitely created a reset, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful to see. Last night I did something in my neighborhood where we had at 8 o'clock, I sent an email out to the neighborhood and I said, at 8 o'clock, let's all go out to the driveway. Let's put a candle in the driveway and just for 5 minutes, say the Lord's Prayer. Say the Lord's Prayer. And, put the candle there. And I was getting emails today from people that said, oh, I wish we would have had more time to prepare because I would have told this neighbor, I would have told that neighbor, but they still went out and did it. And there was chalk art on the sidewalk in our walk today that wasn't there yesterday. There was just, I see neighborhoods, I see communities, I see families, I see loved ones, I see relationships being healed. It's all happening, John. And man, you said that perfectly.
Thank you. And I think that reset, man, if you're listening to this and going like, oh, I don't need any reset. Well, I don't know. I don't know too many people who live a perfect life. And when you figure out a time like this, it does cause you to examine your foundations and go like, what's important to me? And I've got friends, Coach, who are business people. I've got friends who are government leaders, who are pastors, nonprofit leaders who are involved in the arts. And everybody's, I think, pretty much agreeing, we're going to reevaluate society. And I think it's a beautiful thing. I love what you did with the candle and saying the Lord's Prayer. And my understanding was somebody asked T.D. Jakes to pray on national TV. I didn't see it.
I saw that.
Pray on national TV.
It was powerful.
I've never done this before, but I want you to pray now. Well, I think, you can get caught up in the media wars back and forth, but I think everyday normal people are gonna have reset in their life that's really, really good. And we just got to make sure when we re-enter. I got that from a friend. My friend's name is Chris. He said there's a re-entry phase that happens, and that word I got from him. That is really important. When we re-enter, I don't know when it'll be, May, June, July, whatever. When we re-enter, we got to. And you know this from the military. There's a re-entry process when you go from military life to civilian life.
Absolutely. So
you gotta think about that, and it could be stressful and traumatic going into the re-entry.
That brings up a great point, and let's talk about that. When my boys got out of the military, their re-entry was tough. I mean, there's a saying out there, America's great at getting people ready for war, but not really good at bringing them home, right? And that's been something that many people have been working on is, sheltering and cushioning the getting out of the military environment and back into normal civilian life. How do you see that working out in regards to this virus?
Now, let me take a stab at something. I don't have a crystal ball and I don't have this written down anywhere, so I'm just going to take a stab at it. I think when you're in the military, I've had lots of years of close military friends. When you're in the military, purpose, meaning, order, camaraderie, ultimate goals.
Mhm.
And when people come back into general society, there's like this chaos of disorder, of hard to find purpose and structure. So here's what I would say.
Mhm.
I would say this to President Trump, if I could talk to him. America needs to not get off wartime footing. Now, we don't need to shelter in place. There's a moment where that's going to be broken and we need to get out. And my own personal prayer is that God would break the curve, not flatten the curve, but break it. I'm praying for that for Easter. That's my own personal prayer. But anyway, I think that we need to stay on focus. So coming out of this virus, I would say we have to lift up 4 or 5 major national objectives. What's the next 10 years in America going to be like? And I hope our national leaders do that and help us there. But if they don't, I want to say that to your listeners personally. You come out of this virus, and you may not be sheltering in place, but I want to ask you, what's your number 1 priority? What's your number 2 priority? How are you structuring your life around your 1, 2, 3 top priorities and making sure that everything's aligned with that so that your life has purpose, meaning, structure? And then here's kind of a funny little thing. Right now in the coronavirus, we got 10, right? We're not supposed to be in gatherings more than 10, and I don't know how you're working that out in your life, but shelter in place and all that. So my question for you is, who's your 10? Who's your 10? You can have 100 or 1,000 friends, but who's your 10? Who's your buds? Who's the people? Who's your troop? Who's your squad? That's the great stuff from the military. That's just spot on that we need in society.
I'm making that my hashtag. Who's your 10? I love that one, buddy. We got to make that our hashtag. That's a good one. You got to get some. John, it's I coach real estate professionals every day, right?
Yes.
And you brought up about not allowing the government to be so much of a babysitter, right? That you rely so much on that you expect them to always be taking care of you. I know that's not the way you said it, but that's the way I heard it.
No, that's good. That's right.
I totally agree with that. I do. I believe it's more important than ever. I saw it in 9/11. I saw it in 2008 with the mortgage crisis. Yes. And now with what we're seeing now with this virus, people forget the rainy day money. They forget the putting away. And man, our credit cards are not our bank savings accounts, period. They're not. And I think a lot of people right now, well, 1/3 of America, right now, 1 out of every 3 is unemployed right now. And what a wake-up call. In January, we would have never expected this. In February, we never saw this, right? And then all of a sudden, March, boom, right?
Coach, I got to tell a story. I got to tell a story on myself.
Okay.
I'm sitting in my office. Our university is considered an essential service, so I can still come in my office a couple hours a day. So I'm in my office, and the plant guy comes in. Now, I'm sad to admit to this, but up until, for the last 2 years, he comes in when I'm not in my office, or he comes in when I'm on the phone. Mm-hmm. And so I've never had a conversation with him. But he comes in, I'm not on the phone. I looked up at him. He was doing his job, and I said, "I'm so sorry, man. I don't know your name." So he told me his name was Will. And I said, "How you doing, Will?" This was the first week of the coronavirus. And he said, "I'm doing okay." He said, "But I feel really sad for my restaurant friends." I said, "Well, tell me about that." He said, "They're all closed." And he said, "Most of my friends don't have any savings." And I said, I did the whole, we're learning some things getting revealed during this whole time. Don't you think one of the things is we all need to have a little bit of cushion? We all need to have some reserve, some margin. Mm-hmm. And I said, "Will," and I said, "Are you going to be okay?" And Will said, "Yeah." He said, "I've got some savings." He said, "I've lost a few clients." He said, "You guys, a couple others staying open because you have to." And so I just think, Coach, that's one of the things that we've got to learn. We all need a little bit of a cushion. And I'm not an anarchist. I'm not saying we don't need a government. We don't need, I absolutely am for government. I just don't want us as a people to get used to the nanny state that sort of takes care of all of our needs. That is not the purpose of government. That's not what America was made for. America was made for freedom. And it's the greatest country on the planet. People have given their lives defending it. A lot of your listeners have served faithfully. And we just need to, again, I'm not an anarchist. I'm not for overthrowing the government. I'm for preserving freedom within our American system.
One of the things that has bonded me to you and your school more than ever is the fact that of your faith-based curriculum. I love it. The people that are in your faculty are some of the greatest people I have ever met. Eric Hogue, David Panesci, all those guys are just great people. Is there anything that you want to leave as we summarize this podcast to them, to those out there regarding faith and any calming nugget that you want to offer them, other than all the stuff that you've already thrown at us? You've been an amazing guest.
Thank you. Very kind.
You know, anything that you want, anything additional that you want to share with them about?
Yeah. Let me just say one more thing. One thing maybe that would be encouraging. Some of us, Coach, in our worst hours, live very compartmentalized lives. We say, oh, my faith is this little piece, and then there's my work and my family and recreation. And I think part of what's being shown to us during this whole occasion is our lives are really all together. And so I just want to encourage people, go to Psalm 91, the 91st Psalm. It's kind of right there in the center of the Bible, and read about that. I want you to know this: God loves you. He knows your name. There is a God. He cares, even in the midst of this crisis, just like 9/11. People said, where was God? He was right there. He was running up that stairwell with the firefighter. God is not absent. He's present. He loves you. He knows your name. Read Psalm 91. God has not abandoned you. He's right with you. You're not alone. And I would just tell you this from my perspective, Coach. Jesus loves me. This I know, for the Bible tells me so. Kind of the basics.
I love you, man. I love you. I love your heart. You're an amazing leader, a phenomenal author. I just can't say enough about what an honor it's been for me to spend this, 30 minutes with you. And, we're going to come out of this. We're going to be better.
Yes.
We're going to be greater. We're going to be everything that America has always been, that beacon of light to the world.
There you go, Coach.
And I totally believe that. So God bless you, Dr. John Jackson. And I wish you nothing but the best, your family, health, and safety. And hopefully we can have you back on when we come out of this and talking about better things like sports.
I look forward to it, Coach.
God bless you, buddy, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that is Honor Radio 16. We'll see you on our next episode with another special guest, and we wish you safety and health. God bless you all.